Trump sent ICE agents to American airports, while TSA workers have not received a paycheck in 5 weeks. Over 400 have quit. Lines are stretching for hours across the country. And when Congress finally got the head of TSA in a hearing room and asked her the most basic question possible, would you rather have your agency funded or ICE agents standing around your airports, she could not answer. Dan Goldman asked that question 5 times. 5 times. Watch what happens when someone finally forces the truth into the room.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. McNeil, would you rather have a fully funded TSA or ICE agents assisting TSA at airports during a shutdown?
I would like to have all the hardworking men and women of the Department of Homeland Security be paid for the work.
That wasn't my question. Would you rather have your agency fully funded so everyone can be paid and retroactively, or would you rather have ICE officers assisting you at airports?
If DHS is funded, TSA will be funded.
And would you rather have that, or would you rather have the ICE agents who are at airports right now helping you?
I think that if we don't want ICE agents
Can you
working
just
at
answer the
airports,
question?
we need to fund the departments.
It's not a complicated question, ma'am. It's not a complicated question. Would you rather have TSA funded or ICE agents helping your agency at the airport?
Paying the employees for the work that they are doing is also not a complicated question.
Well, I'm asking the questions, and you're answering them. And I would like to understand whether you are happy to have ICE agents there or whether you would rather have your own TSA officers there.
Under normal order, TSA would be performing our operations, and that is the ideal state. But I am also thankful for ICE for being there to help alleviate the burden that our workforce is feeling because we are in the 3rd shutdown of this fiscal year.
So you're happy to have ICE there, even though, as far as we can tell, there's videos of them standing around, yawning, eating candy bars, or tackling someone and arresting a woman in front of her daughter in the San Francisco airport. It seems to me like there's not a whole lot they're doing, but one thing that Mr. Homan said they were doing was checking identification. So do you have any concerns about passengers whose identification are being checked by ICE agents who are armed and may arrest them?
The ICE agents that are at the airports where we're seeing long lines are helping in a multitude of different ways. The credential authentication machine at the travel document checker is one thing that they are helping us operate, and they are doing that under TSA protocols and standard operating procedures.
So let's talk about this funding, because I hear my colleagues on the other side of the aisle wax poetic and melodramatic about how awful it is that your officers are not funded, are not able to work and get paid. And I want to be very clear. I 100% agree with that. The problem is that it is the Republicans who have voted down TSA funding over and over and over again. And you don't have to take my word for it. Let's listen to Senator Kennedy on Fox News, if we could play the clip.
The Democrats have offered to open up everything but ICE. Ted and I said, okay, let's accept their offer. And then at the same time, we would offer a bill for reconciliation where we don't need any Democratic votes to do whatever we wanted to do with ICE. And that way we're out of the shutdown and DHS is back open. We submitted that, Senator Thune submitted that to President Trump, as is his right. He said no deals with the Democrats. So we're back to square one.
No deals with the Democrats. The Democrats offered to open up everything but ICE, but Trump said no deals with the Democrats. That is a Republican senator. And that is why we are sitting here today with none of your agencies being funded. And I am sorry that you have to deal with this. I am sorry you are having to get by with no funding, with people having to literally leave their job so they can take another job and get paid. That is absolutely unacceptable, and you are right to be frustrated, and I am concerned about our homeland security. I am concerned about CISA. I am concerned about the damage it is causing. And that is why you ought to call your boss, President Trump, and tell him to take the offer that the Democrats made to fund all of your agencies. And I yield back.
She could not say it. Sat there under oath in front of Congress and could not say, yes, I would rather have my agency funded than have ICE agents standing around my airports doing nothing useful. Because saying yes would have destroyed the entire narrative the administration has been selling. That Democrats caused this. That ICE was helping. That sending immigration enforcement agents into American airports during a government shutdown was a solution and not a political experiment. So she deflected. 5 times. Using different words each time but landing in exactly the same place. Nowhere. And then Goldman did something nobody else had done in that hearing room. He played the Kennedy clip, right there, on the record, under oath, in front of the TSA administrator herself. A Republican senator on Fox News confirming that Democrats offered to open every shutdown agency except ICE. Republicans said accept it and fund ICE separately through reconciliation. 0 Democratic votes needed. No compromise. No concession. Senate Majority Leader Thune took that deal directly to Trump. Trump said no. No deals with Democrats. That is not Goldman saying it. That is not a Democratic talking point. That is John Kennedy, one of the most reliably pro-Trump voices in the United States Senate on Fox News, confirming that Trump personally chose to keep TSA workers unpaid rather than accept a deal that required nothing from Democrats, except their offer. And then Trump went on Truth Social and blamed Democrats for the chaos he chose to continue. Goldman said the one thing that cut through everything: call your boss, call President Trump, and tell him to take the deal, because that is the only thing standing between TSA workers getting paid and another week of 4-hour lines and ICE agents dragging women through airport terminals in front of their children. Now let us talk about what ICE is actually doing at those airports, because Goldman mentioned it and it needs to be examined directly. Videos out of San Francisco International Airport showed ICE agents standing around, yawning, eating candy bars, and then one of them grabbed a woman and dragged her through the terminal in front of her young daughter. Bystanders screamed, "I do not know who you are. You could be kidnapping her." The agents said nothing, did not show badge numbers, did not identify themselves. Tom Homan called that helping alleviate the burden on TSA workers. Trump called sending ICE to airports a great idea. He compared it to the invention of the paperclip. And a DHS official told CBS News, when asked what the plan was for ICE agents at airports, "I have no idea what we are doing." That is the people running this operation, admitting in real time, on the record, that there is no plan. There never was a plan. It was a suggestion from a Fox News radio caller named Linda that went on air on a Saturday and became federal policy on a Monday. But here is the part that makes this story bigger than airport lines and unpaid paychecks. Goldman mentioned it in the hearing, and it needs to be said clearly. On Fox News, a host said out loud that the ICE airport deployment can be used as a test run to perfect ICE involvement in the 2026 midterm elections. Trump agreed on camera, said yes, he thinks ICE agents should be at polling places. TSA workers cannot pay their rent, cannot buy groceries. 400 have quit because they cannot afford to keep working without a paycheck. And Trump is using their financial desperation as a bargaining chip not to fix airport security, but to normalize ICE agents in public spaces before the midterms. To get Americans comfortable seeing immigration enforcement at airports, so that seeing them at polling locations in 2026 feels like a natural next step. That is what this is. Goldman saw it, said it clearly, and the TSA administrator sitting across from him under oath could not contradict a single word of it. 7 standalone bills to fund TSA introduced, 10 total attempts. 9 times Republicans blocked them. All documented, all on the record. And Trump was handed one more solution, a clean deal requiring nothing from Democrats, and said no. The workers are suffering. The airports are chaos. The woman dragged through San Francisco International Airport in front of her daughter is still waiting for an explanation. And the man who could end all of it with one phone call is the same man who said no deals with Democrats. Subscribe, because the vote to fund TSA is coming, and every American who missed a flight this spring break deserves to know exactly who made the choice to keep those workers unpaid.